Today's webinar is titled Developing and Communicating Improvement Visions to Support Your TPM and Operational Excellence Journey. Presenting the session today is the founder and president of CTPM, Ross Kennedy. Since CTPM's establishment in 1996, Ross has developed an improvement methodology that is centered around progressively developing and engaging all personnel to identify problems at the earliest possible time, solve them to root cause, and share their learning. Over this time, Ross has become recognized as Australasia's leading authority on total productive maintenance and CTPM's Australasian TPM lean approach to operational excellence. So with that being said, let's get started with today's session, and I'll now pass you over to Ross.
Thank you, Nelson, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to our first webinar for 2021. And we thought, being our first one for the year, we'd focus on more of about where is the journey going, or what is our vision for the journey, rather than specific activities, which we often talk about. So the title, Developing and Communicating Improvement Visions to Support Your TPM and Operational Excellence Journey. So the four things we want to look at is, why is vision with action such a critical ingredient of your TPM and Operational Excellence Improvement Journey? What should a TPM and Operational Excellence Improvement Vision entail? Where does an operations vision fit in, and what should it include? And where does a maintenance vision fit in, and what should it include? So I thought I'd start as, where does the vision fit into the overall framework? So we have our CTPM Activities and Focus Framework for Australasian TPM and Lean, and it's our, what we affectionately call our hamburger model of the 10 improvement activities, with the safety number 1 and quality number 10 at the very top as the umbrella. And then underneath we have our production activities, our production support activities, and our value stream activities, and underpinning it is our people and leadership development. Now, what we've learned is, for Australasian TPM Lean to sustain, it needs to follow, I guess, what Toyota learned in the early days of their Toyota production system, which is that the main focus is human capital development, or as we call it, people development. And for that reason, all our activities are orientated around developing your employees through cross-functional teams or area-based teams. And what we're trying to develop in all employees on site is their problem-solving skills, their visual workplace skills, so they can identify problems and issues at the earliest possible time, and prevention at source skills to stop the problems from occurring in the first place. And then added to this, to our model, we have our plate underneath, so to speak, with the hamburger on it, which is the leadership base, which is about the visions, the philosophy, or the way we think, and goal alignment to get everyone heading in the same direction. So it's the visions of what we want to talk about today that support the Australasian TPM and Lean framework. So when we talk about leadership base, we ask ourselves, what are the key activities of site leadership in supporting Australasian TPM and Lean? And from our Introduction to TPM and Lean workshop, or online course now, we talk about site leadership need to establish a site leadership team for improvement, along with a clearly defined resource support structure, i.e. improvement coordinator. Establish the visions, and we put in here improvement, operations, maintenance, operators, etc. The philosophy or principles, or the thinking, because we know Australasian TPM Lean is a paradigm shift in thinking for organisations, so that needs to be very clearly articulated, and obviously goal alignment for the site. And finally, the leadership team needs to plan and monitor progress to your visions through 3 to 4 month improvement cycles, or some sometimes we refer to 12 to 14 week improvement cycles, supported by pre-cycle strategy planning sessions before the end of each cycle to reflect on how the cycle's gone and look at what needs to be done in the next cycle and into the future. And supporting that is weekly review meetings, and the teams, whether they're cross-functional area-based, should have midway presentations to explain what they've found in their analysis and what they plan and get approval to do for the rest of their cycle, and then their final presentations where they talk about what they've achieved and what their recommendations are. So what we want to look at today is this part here highlighted, which is the improvement, operations and maintenance visions and how to establish these. So why is vision with action such a critical ingredient of your TPM and operational excellence improvement journey? Well, just keeping it very simple, managers organize people to get things done. Leaders take people to new heights. And the whole TPM and operational excellence improvement journey is about leadership and leaders at all levels taking their people and developing their people to new heights. So to do that, if we're going to develop someone to a new height, we've got to know what the new height is, and that's really the power of vision. What is that new height we want to take people to? And we define a vision not as some aspirational sort of comment, but as a very practical, what do we want to become or achieve, and by when? So something that's measurable and something that has a time frame. Joel Barker, in his video, The Power of Vision. Now, Joel Barker, for those not familiar, also created an excellent video called the Business of Paradigms. We use that in our Introduction to Australasian TPM and Lean workshop or course, online course. And in his other video, Power of Vision, he makes some very, very, I think, valid comments. He's saying vision without action is merely a dream. That's the aspiration. Action without vision just passes the time. You go around and do all these great things, but if you're not heading in the direction, you're not taking people to new heights. Finally, vision with action can change the world. And the reason he says change the world is that visions can be an individual thing, they can be a team thing, they can be a site thing, or a company vision, or it can even be a country vision. And vision has its place in all those areas. What we're looking at here is for your site vision of changing the way you do things at your site. So apart from having your company vision, and most companies will have a company vision, for a successful TPM and operational excellence journey, there is a need for an improvement vision, an operations vision, and a maintenance vision. Also an operator excellence vision, but we won't have time to cover that one today. What should a TPM and operational excellence improvement vision entail? Well, first of all, what is an improvement vision? A simple definition is that the concept of the improvement vision is to have something to strive for regarding your improvement journey, right? To take people to new heights. Recognizing improvement capabilities is an important enabler to help you achieve your company vision. So where does an improvement vision fit into the three critical parts of a continuous improvement strategy to achieve TPM and operational excellence? Well, this is our three critical parts of a continuous improvement strategy. And those who have been to our webinars before would be familiar with this slide. The three parts, if you look at the line in the middle, which has expectation and target, that is your current performance that you currently aim to achieve each day at your site. And whether it be a safety performance, quality performance, delivery performance, equipment performance, people performance, etc., you have your expectations. And sometimes things don't go to plan and you don't achieve that. And that's what reactive improvement is all about, is getting you back to where you should be and stopping it from happening again. Underneath that is stable production plan, and that is to stop firefighting so people have time to do proactive improvement. So reactive improvement and stable production plan are very important to stop people losing their time, running around chasing up on things that keep happening, or having production plans changing. Then the really important one that trying to take you up to world class is the proactive improvement, improving the business. And that's where the improvement vision is so critical. What do we mean by world class? And that's what we're trying to define so people know, well, how well are we getting there? And that's why it's got to be clearly defined as in measurable and have a time frame. So the time frame is important. And the time frame we suggest to sites is that what we've found is when we get people to look at what is their current performance, and one of the tools is a rating sheet called the operations rating sheet. And when we've got many companies in Australia over the years do this operations rating sheet, what we find is the average score is about 50%, because the 100% score is what we would deem and what's been benchmarked worldwide as best practice world-class performance. So if you're at 50%, if your site is average, now I know some sites are better than average and some are less than average, but if you're average and you want to get up to world-class, assuming that's 100%, over 5 years, you need to improve 15% every year. If you do your sums, that will work, they'll bring you up to about 99.6%. The interesting thing is most sites don't have 15% improvement each year written into their normal business plans. If you go and ask most companies, what are you trying to achieve next year? Oh, cost down by 5%, etc. And so we think 15 is a stretch. Hopefully you do more in the first year because of a bit of a low-hanging fruit, although it's a cascading journey. So if you're going to really focus on people development and get your people engaged and involved, normally we start off with a few areas and then cascade it out. So over the 5 years is probably a realistic time frame for an improvement vision. And that leads on to the next question: what does it take to be world class? Because that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to become a world-class site. That's why we're on the improvement journey. Now, when I've been asked this, what's it take to be world-class at improvement? What I've found is using a simple analogy helps to get the message across. So I use a simple analogy of world-class in sport. So for example, obtaining a gold medal at the Olympics is recognized as being world-class. For example, Cathy Freeman, when she won her 400-meter gold medal at the Australian Olympics in Australia, in Sydney, everyone recognised she was world class. The world recognised she was world class. So to achieve a gold medal, basically you need three things in place. The vision of the gold medal. Sounds a bit obvious, but think about Cathy Freeman. Was she trying to go for the 200 metres, the 100 metres, the 800 metres? Was she trying to get a swimming medal? Was she trying to get a netball or basketball medal? She had it very clear in her mind. She wanted the 400, and that was her race. She obviously had a great coach with a proven training plan. And the third thing, she had the discipline to follow the training plan. It's the athlete's role to get up early in the morning and do all the work, right? And that takes discipline. Now, in the workplace, what we find is not everyone in the workplace wants to have the discipline to be world-class at what they're doing. What we have found, though, if you get people working in teams, and that's why this whole methodology is based on cross-functional and area-based teams, in a team environment, people will be more encouraged to not let the team down. In other words, oh, I better get involved. I better do it. And that brings and develops the discipline. The other key aspect of, again, winning a gold medal at the Olympics is the role of milestones. As in striving for a gold medal, you need milestones to gauge your progress towards your ultimate goal. So, for example, with Cathy, obviously in her very, very younger days, her initial goal would be to win at the local sporting event. Then it might be to win at the state championships, then win the national championships, then maybe win the Asian European championships, and then have a go at the gold at the Olympics. And so you're building up. and you can see and you keep achieving your milestones as you go. And it's for this reason CTPM created what we call the 5-level Milestone Excellence Award. The award is designed to address the question, how good is our site at improvement? It provides the motivation to ensure the discipline is put in place. So what's needed to achieve TPM and operational excellence? Well, just in summary, gold medal to strive for. That's your improvement vision. Internationally recognised, externally awarded and clearly defined milestones. If it's like an Olympic gold medal. That's a photo of our Excellence Award. Great coach for proven development plan. So you want someone with a 5-year outlook. You want someone who can come and give you that guidance. And hopefully that's why CTPM was established, to help provide that coaching support to sites. Progressively engage everyone at the site. It's very much focused on people development of everyone. If you want to be world class, everyone's got to be involved. And reviewed and adjusted every 3 to 4 months, because that's, we focus in, all the psychologists will tell us 12-week intervals is the best focus for the human being. And finally, discipline to follow the development plan. So team supported with lots of fun, weekly reflection and review, so weekly meetings and reflection, and then your cycles of 12 to 14 weeks with good recognition for achievement. So just a couple of quick examples of this in practice, and I'll use some sites that have achieved level 5. So for example, Lampang open cut coal operation in Thailand. Now, Bampu's one of the biggest energy companies in Asia, and they have coal mines and they have power plants and whatever. Now they had a little mine site in Thailand, in Lampang, and they wanted it to achieve TPM excellence as a model for the rest of their sites. And we were invited to help them do that because we're recognised in Australia with our mining background and mining experience. We could help them as opposed to the Japanese who have very little mining, if any, mining experience, especially from a TPM perspective. Now, what was interesting at this site was after they achieved level 2 of the 5-level Milestone Excellence Award, totally surprised to us, they went out and built a replica of the award. We do not give awards that big away. They're about 300 millimeters high or foot high type little trophy. But they replicated it. So why did they replicate it? Well, it was their way of getting buy-in to their improvement vision to be the first site to achieve level 5. And here they all are, all the senior people with their hands up, 5, saying we're going to be the first site to achieve level 5. And yes, they were the first site, had a few hiccups on the way, but they got there. And there's some of the achievements, at an open cut coal mine, going 517 days accident free. And we're talking about accidents, not lost time accidents, obviously that's 0, medically treated 0, and first aid treated 0. And they had a baseline from their baseline measures, and at the bottom you can see their site maintenance costs were reduced by 50%, which is one of the key aims and goals of TPM, while also improving your capacity of your plant. Now, another one of Bampu's sites, Tadam Manyang in Indonesia. What happened to Lampang was after they got the Excellence Award, about 12 months later, they ran out of coal. They knew that was happening. They wanted the Lampang site to be the model to learn. And then a lot of the key people moved over to Indonesia and were involved in these sites in Indonesia, which are much larger open cut coal operations. And here we are there. I think this was their level 4 verification assessment. But to reinforce the improvement vision, there they all are with their photo and their hands up saying, we're going to get number 5. And they want to beat the best. In other words, they want to beat the achievements of Lampang because they are a much larger operation. Now, unbeknownst to me, when I turned up for the level 5, I think level 5 audit assessment, here they are, they built their own trophy in front. Right? And the mine head was saying, is the vision really achievable for our site? This was not the actual level 5 audit I was there for a review of how they were progressing towards level 5. So I was there to coach them to achieve and head to level 5. Again, the role of the mine head, getting everyone to embrace the vision. So here they all are on their bottle of our trophy with their hands up saying, we're going to get level 5. And they achieved level 5. And again, you can see the results. They did a lot of improvement teams, a lot of one-point lessons, a lot of improvement sheets. But why'd they do all that? Well, had a $50 million US impact on their bottom line. So, and they had an incredibly engaged workforce. And again, their safety record was the best of any mine site in Indonesia. So what should a TPM operational vision entail? Another point is the key element is the people engagement and development. And this is, again, how much time should people involved in cross-functional and area-based teams? Now, we strongly recommend a person should only be on one cross-functional team per cycle, so you don't disrupt from their normal work, apart from your improvement coordinator who'd be facilitating all the teams. Again, people only involved in one area-based team. Now, if 5% is approximately 2 hours a week, cross-functional teams do not disrupt the plant because you should be able to do them without stopping or interfering with normal production. Area-based teams may require the site to stop the line while people get involved in their TPM activities of operating equipment management, etc. However, prior to getting to that stage, you would have improved your OEE much greater than 5%, normally 10 to 20%, so you've got the time to do it. So what is an improvement vision? Okay, what do we want to become or achieve, and by when? So here's a sample for you. Time frame, 5 years would be what we recommend most sites. First thing, something measurable. Our world-class targets for our performance measures linked to our site key success factors for operations. So site key success factors for operations are typically safety, quality, customer satisfaction, delivery, plant and equipment, people, supplier, inventory, etc. And they all lead to cost. So the cost is the effect of your key success factors. So if you get it all right, your costs reduce significantly. If you get it wrong, your costs go up. And then you have your rating sheets. We spoke about the operations rating, but there's also maintenance culture rating that we use and we introduced during the introduction to Australasian TPM and Lean workshops or online course, which sites then do every year and monitor their progress. The second aspect is getting all your people engaged. So again, we monitor that through improvement time calculations, where we look at who's in teams, how long teams run for, how much time the teams meet, etc. And you put in a spreadsheet that tells you what your percentage improvement time is for all your employees. And ultimately, you want to get to at least 10% is a world-class target. Some people might say, well, that's a bit too ambitious, let's go for 8. That's fine. But having some target of how much improvement time are you going to have your people involved in? That's the horsepower to really drive you to world-class. And finally, get some sort of external recognition. Now, whether you use the CTPM Excellence Award, whether you use some other external recognition like Singo Prize, or whether corporate develop their own assessment process. So it's someone outside the site comes along and looks and says, verifies, yes, this is what you've achieved. Because sometimes at our own site, we will have rose-colored glasses on and we won't see opportunities. So an outside set of eyes is often really helpful. So just moving on, the operations vision. What do we want to do with operations? Well, again, we tend to give sort of about a 3-year target for an operations vision. Obviously, getting the measures right and having the improvement drivers, OEE and lead time. Having the right organisation structure. And what we say is no leader have any more than 7 direct reports. If you're trying to develop your people, and therefore you want your frontline leaders, your leading hands, your supervisors, your managers to be teachers, to teach the people underneath them problem solving, how to create visual workplace and prevention at source, the minimum. Therefore, to be a teacher, you don't want too many students. And Toyota learned this very early, and that's why their structure doesn't have anyone having any more than 7 direct reports. A structure based on production area-based teams of 4 to 8, so that it's not having big teams, with a designated frontline leader or wages leading hand in order to promote the ownership and flexibility. Aligned rosters for production and maintenance to allow working together on cross-functional improvement teams and supporting production area-based teams. So you want the same maintenance person going to your production crew to support them in their improvement activities during improvement time. All personnel spending at least, now nominal, whether it be 8, 6, 10 on going improvement. 6, clearly define key roles and skills required for production frontline leaders. The production frontline leader is the most critical role. Right? It's a wages leading hand type role. They can operate the equipment, but you don't want them operating equipment except for training your people or relieving someone while they're doing improvement activities. But what you find is if your frontline leaders aren't effective, your supervisors work down a level. And then if your supervisor working down a level, the manager works down a level. And then everyone looks at the managers and says, oh, they're not effective. When in fact, the root cause is you haven't developed your frontline leaders correctly. Then it comes back to your operators. What do we want our operators to be able to do? Just operate the plant or identify problems at the earliest possible time, right? And take action appropriately. And that's really a key part of the operator excellence vision. And then we need the production support capability and people and leadership development capability to achieve or for that, to support that pathway. Obviously, we need an effective daily review process at all levels that identifies and resolves problems at the earliest possible time. This is the active improvement part of the continuous improvement strategy. We want highly visible policies to manage issues raised. So how many policies might be a person can only have one root cause analysis to work on at a time, and an effective root cause analysis process. And finally, an effective improvement knowledge base to promote the sharing of learning. So we don't have all that. Again, our journey, we don't have a clear vision of what we're trying to achieve and a time frame and monitor how well we're going towards it. We're not going to get anywhere just by doing, as Joel Barker says, actions without vision just passes the time of day. And finally, where does maintenance fit in? Well, in our model here, we have our 10 improvement activities. You have your maintenance, excellence management activity, which is a production support activity, which is absolutely critical. If maintenance cannot support the production activities, you're not going to get very far. So with that, you've got the 10 elements of maintenance excellence, and they are leadership elements, capability elements, and processes. And it's what you're aiming for. And the stable domains relate to DuPont's 4 stable domains for maintenance excellence. You have your reactive stable domain, you have your planned stable domain where you focus on planned preventive maintenance. Then you have your what we call mechanistic TPM and lean, where you're just applying the tools. And then you have your organic, which is the people development focused TPM, which is what we certainly promote. So what would be a sample site maintenance vision? Again, we find 3 years. And again, we want it ultimately externally recognised because maintenance are great at telling everyone how good they are. So you really sometimes need to have that external recognition or corporate to come in and review. So what do we want them to be recognised for? Working in harmony with production and support groups to maximise overall equipment effectiveness, along with the site's key success factors for operations through agreed goal-aligned performance measures. So something very measurable. Ensuring the optimum reliability, maintainability, and process capability. It's all very well having the equipment running, but is it doing repeatable processes and getting repeatable outcomes of a production plant equipment? Maintaining all facilities so as to ensure they are safe, legal, and functional, and achieving at least 80% score for each of the 10 elements. And we have a rating sheet or self-assessment process for rating those 10 elements. So just to summarise as we finish up, establishing the site's visions should be the responsibility of the site leadership team for your TPM and operational excellence improvement journey. The site leadership team should take every opportunity to communicate what the site visions are, along with what actions are being taken to work towards the visions, and most importantly, how the site is progressing towards them. Improvement theme midway and final presentations are a great forum for site leadership team members to effectively communicate the visions and their progress. And finally, each pre-cycle strategy planning session, which you hold just before the end of each cycle, an outcome of that should be a briefing to everyone on site, not a long briefing, but an update briefing, 10, 15 minutes, to communicate what the plan is for the next cycle and ongoing, as well as the progress the site is making towards its visions. So first of all, you've got to have the visions, then you can communicate how you are progressing through. And that is why it's so critical. The visions are something that are measurable. What do we want to achieve? And have a time frame so we can say, how are we progressing? So how can we help? The material we've spoken today has come from our introduction to Australasian TPM and Lean. And what we've done recently, due to the COVID training restrictions in relation to public workshops, we have spent a lot of time turning it into a new online self-paced accredited yellow belt training course. And I would commend anyone who hasn't done the two-day workshop publicly. Here's an opportunity to do it. So far, I think we've had over 3,000 people attend our Introduction to Australasian TPM and Lean workshop from about 600 sites. And we keep updating and enhancing it to make it really gives you this strategic overview of what you really need to do to achieve world class. Bit over time, sorry about that. I thought it was an important topic to get us really going for 2021. Hope you found it of some value. We're always open to questions and comments. We really appreciate the feedback and any suggestions especially. But if you'd like to make any questions, happy to take them now or contact us anytime at CTPM.
Okay, thank you very much, Ross. And if, as Ross mentioned, if you have a question, please type it into your question panel and he'll be happy to respond. While we wait for any questions to come through, just a reminder that a link to the recording of today's webinar will be provided in a follow-up email to you guys later this afternoon. So please feel free to watch it again or share it with your colleagues. Let me have a look if you have any questions. Doesn't seem like we have any questions at the moment, Ross. I think since we're a little bit over time, we might bring the session to an end. So I guess that brings us to the end of today's session. We hope you took some learnings away from the session, and we encourage you to complete the feedback form after the session to let us know how it went, and if you have any topic suggestions for future webinars. Now we do have a question that just came through, Ross, so I'll put this out to you. The question is, how can we achieve operator excellence when it is rotational type? So it means short-term manpower.
That's a very good question. I assume when you mean rotational type as in your operators casuals, or is it you referring to rotational type as in a shift rotation where people move from day afternoon to night shift, for example? There is, I guess, two scenarios. When you have casual workers, yes, it is very, very hard to develop operator excellence because you don't have access to them. And that is why world-class sites try to keep the number of casual people to a minimum, and they focus on the permanent people to develop them, because that's really so important. You have permanent people if you want to get to world-class. In relation to rotating shifts, the key, what I find is if people are on rotating shifts, yes, you can still work with them when they rotate onto day shifts. You can do a lot of work. You can also, depending on how your rotations work, will dictate how you can do improvement. But we've been very successful with sites that run 24/7 operations, 4 12-hour shifts rotating, and be able to get them fully engaged in improvement. So it's really, I guess the key to it is you want people who are permanent employees, not just a casual workforce that floats in and out, or you focus on the people who can be permanent. I worked with one site over in New Zealand that was food processing, and it was very seasonal. For 6 months of the year, when they were off season, they had about 80 people on site. When they were in full season, they had 400 or so, and all casuals coming in for 6 months. But what they did was every team had 1 or 2 permanent people, and then they would be supported with a few casuals. And the casuals were, by using a lot of visual controls, were encouraged and became very encouraged to get involved in improvement activities just for that short period of time. And that had a big impact on retention of the casuals as well. I hope that sort of answered that question. I'll give you some insight. If not, please send me an email or give us a call, and I'm happy to talk more about it.
Okay, I think that's the only question we have there today, Ross. So thank you everyone for attending today's session, and we hope to catch you in the next session. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now. Thanks.